Hello, today I will show you a cool new feature of the Monolith Suite 2021, which is the display of the VPC with the time after the last dose. As a reminder, the VPC is a plot that compares the observed data, summarized by three blue curves for the 10th percentile, the median, and the 90th percentile, called empirical percentiles, with the data simulated with the model grouped in prediction intervals for the same percentiles and displayed as blue and pink areas. If the empirical percentiles are in the corresponding prediction intervals, then the model is able to correctly predict the data. By default, the VPC uses the measurement times on the x-axis as they are given in the dataset. But in some cases where multiple doses are given, it can be more convenient to use the time after the last dose on the x-axis instead of the absolute time. In this example, each individual has received multiple doses of tobramycin with a different dosing regimen, usually each 8 hours during 1 to 21 days. The individuals have sparse measurements at different times. Because of this, the VPC is quite flat on the observation period between 0 and 520 hours, and the discrepancies between empirical percentiles and prediction intervals are not very informative to improve the model. Choosing the time after the last dose in display, Monolix now rebuilds the plot using for each observed and simulated measurement the time since the last dose before that measurement. This gives a more condensed display between times 0 and 35 hours that retrieves the typical shape of absorption and elimination after a dose of tobramycin. This display shows better the misspecification of the model. Here the model is missing a second compartment, leading to an overprediction of high observations. The VPC with the time after the last dose based on a model with two compartments shows that the model now captures well the data. The default label on the x-axis is now time after the last dose, and in this label you can replace time by a custom text that will still be followed by after the last dose. Notice that it is still possible to display the observed data on the plot, but each dot is of course displayed with respect to the time after the last dose. In addition, now when you export the charts data to have the data from the VPC in the result folder, for example to redraw it with another software, the table for the observations in the VPC always include two columns for time and time after last dose, whatever the option selected in the interface. The tables of bins and percentiles computed in each bin use the option selected in the interface at the time of the export. Here are a few more remarks on this feature. It is only available for VPCs based on continuous data. Doses with a null amount are handled the same way as other doses, so if you use a dummy dose in the data to reset a variable in the model, for example, the time after this dummy dose will be considered with the feature. If there are observations before the first dose or no dose at all, the absolute time is used for these observations. Finally, all administration IDs are handled together, which means that if you have several types of doses in the data, it is not possible to define the time after dose for only one type. Of course, this feature is also available with the connectors in R with the setting time after last dose. See you next week for another feature of the Monolith Suite.